Hi, it's Friday, November 8th, 2024. This is strategy meeting of the senior staff. Currently, Brandon just asked me to start recording, so I'll just restate what I was saying. Is that what I heard from Moritz is that there's a macro story, like the civilization, what we're trying to do. Sorry. There's the current story, which is the branding and messaging we need to come to market with. And then there's some other stories like the punishment and restitution story that can amplify or serve certain demographic interests, etc. Mostly. And so what I wanted to capture is, okay, great. Well, you touched on a few things that I think are available to us now. Is that one is, I always thought it as well. Now do we want to push for civil war now? No, we don't need to push for civil war now, right? If it happens, we know what to do about it, but we don't need to push for it.
Push for the prevention of it, to be
right,
precise.
Correct. Push for the prevention of it. Do we instead we want to push our policies and frames, etc. So we want to switch from just American problem solving to a broader European or global frame. Is that what I heard?
Well, that I think there will be value in using the American context as leverage to drive the conversation outside. We're already seeing, like, even just now, Macron starting to talk in masculine language for the first time ever publicly, simply because Trump creates that space. So this is a kind of phenomenon that says, yes, the Europeans, because Trump will likely withdraw support or make them pay for themselves again, there's again a political context in which people can actually bring a message home that, oh, we have to actually take responsibility.
I don't see any reason why everyone isn't using their military to repatriate all of these invaders.
Military and citizenry.
Yeah, people that were, well, all able men, so that everyone else, right, has only productive things to do. And I mean Europe, like if they need our military help to boots on the ground people overseas there, like, why aren't we after that right away?
Well, I mean, what did they just do in Denmark? They're like, they got bulletin boards say, go the fuck home, right? We're not alone in this, but it's going to have to happen. They just tried to, helicoptered in these minorities to sort of blow the swing states, right? We got to send them back.
So yeah, there is a game to play for our activists in the European context to essentially drive that conversation and to create those cultural patterns as an example setting mechanism for others to then emulate. So for sure.
So basically what happens is if one Western government does something and it works reasonably well, it basically gives other governments permission to do it. So, I hate to say it, it's a little bit like a fucking girls' club, but it is like that. Whereas under monarchies, monarchies can say a monarchy is above the law and the restoration of the law. And they can do stuff like that by saying, I don't care what you think, you're going to do this, or I'll have the army make you do it, right?
We already went over some open source planning, and on Trump's horizon is like making new cities. The quickest way to get the materials for new cities is to pillage the old ones, as far as I can tell. I don't know, start with the museums and the state houses, and then move next door. Filter people on the way.
I've got to ask you, Moritz. You've known Martin. You've known Brandon a while now. Is it just me, or has he gotten sort of over that saying stuff cautiously, and now into the militant, aggressive, over the top edge? Right? I mean,
yes, because he's always on the leading edge.
What happened to that cautious guy who used careful
because
choice of words?
that was at the point where nothing was possible to be said at all. Now you can say things, and so he's going to the action point. He's doing his job. He's leading from the front.
I started with Brad not letting me mention Jews at all, and now he's like, I've got to tell him to tone it down. Yeah. I mean, I like having you around, Moritz, because I'm not. I mean, I need somebody else on my side of the fence, you know? I mean, the rest of these guys, they just want to hang people. I mean, I may want to, but I'm not going to talk about it.
The faster
Yeah.
we go, the more people we save.
You know, it's
Now
true.
the debate is it good to save the ones we're going to lose? I'm willing to have that debate, but that's the adult debate to have.
Yeah, okay, so let's just say for the next 2 years at least, we have a current story, right?
Mhm.
And
Oh,
we're gonna
yeah.
have the same, we're gonna have the same readjustment strategically next year, and then in 2 years, and then in 4 years. We're gonna have some sort of adjustment, right?
We should be playing cleanup. Like we should just be filling political positions now with the foundation that we have and being on the right side of everything, the right side of the sort, putting people where they need to be.
Right, but my view is that that there's gonna be a lot of fucking chaos for a while here. And they're actually cleaning up the obvious stuff. They're not fixing the underlying problem. Right? And that's what we're saying we're gonna do. We're gonna fix the underlying problem. So how do we create a compatible message?
Well, I see your view of like the more chaos there is in that fashion, like the better that's opportunities for people we have oriented. That's all that is. Because they're legal, lawful avenues for action. And if they're not, then we get to escalate. Like, and we get to do it on a foundation where the consensus is behind us. We don't have to fight. But where we would meet activism in return, we have the federal government on our side, right? We can go, Daddy, come help us.
Mhm.
We're in a leveraged position, so it's time to leverage people. It's going to look more like social pressure than hanging people in the streets. Like there's still a window of forgiveness and proportionality that's very large due to just how soft people are.
I view there to be a space now for a kind of synthesis of the tech entrepreneurship archetype and the political entrepreneurship archetype. I see this quite clearly. There's a kind of person that is the kind of systems thinker that Naval Ravikant is, or that Scott Adams kind of views the tech people as, which is neither a kind of old, like the kind of .com techie, nor are they a kind of conservative politician, but they're a kind of fusion of the young, capable, like technological person with the young, charismatic kind of activist. And there's a kind of population now that is large enough and experienced enough and capitalized enough that is in their early 30s to late 30s that fluidly speak the languages of those two worlds. And so there's something that, I just saw a tweet where they were showing how the Kamala kind of social media team was like 80 people. And Trump's kind of social media team was like 4 trolls, like 4 meme trolls. And like smart, capable, attractive guys who know how to use the technology and who know how to speak to people and who are doing this kind of game. And so I think that this political entrepreneurship angle is really where it's at right now. And political entrepreneurship doesn't look like getting the people out to vote or distributing a message to voters. It looks like creating, operating, and exploiting systems that continuously move the needle in the direction you want it to move. And so the Policies for the People website to me is an example of that kind of political entrepreneurship where essentially Kennedy's team created a platform that didn't exist from the federal government, but that might as well be run by it or feed it, and essentially create a new reality on the ground that people are starting to use for a particular purpose, and that is going to feed policy up to the people who are actually going to make decisions. And so this kind of, I think, entrepreneurship, technopolitical entrepreneurship is something that we can radically accelerate among the people who are already primed to do that. and that is essentially creating a competitive market for changing the government on the distributed level. And what we can do, I think, now to essentially go the step further is essentially deprive the existing consensus of this alliance that has been gathered by Trump of the smartest people when they don't move far enough. Essentially saying, you to the people who are like nipping at their feet to actually implement things, oh, they're not moving fast enough. Come work with us to create the reality on the ground such that they have no other choice but to move in that direction. And so,
I get it.
yeah.
I get it, but I'm trying to distill what you're saying into something that's actionable for us.
All right.
What I hear is that there's something around an opportunity to merge the tech systems thinker with the political thinkers, and that's basically what I hear. Is that's a market we can bring messaging to or suggestions to.
Messaging, product. Yeah.
I mean, the capable ones are largely our peers already.
Yes.
That I see the landscape. Like very largely our peers, even perhaps.
Again?
Very largely our peers, even.
Yeah. So you're saying it's an easier.
Well, I don't know. I don't remember who I was talking to, and we have an option to offer this forward-facing statesman angle, but we also have the hide all your stuff, be on the winning team, hoard your assets for your family angle as well under the current legal precedent. I'm under the impression that everyone's behind on the arguments, meaning it's gonna take a magnitude more transparency across all marketplaces in order to get to an optimum that feels good for people on the planet as such, like under the reality we have, so that like the aristocracy can't hide. They have to be imitable. They have to be out there and known by people. It's why you had a king and not some secret person.
There was a tweet that I think is very apt, which is the currency of the moment now, or the currency of that we're switching to now is no longer the credential. It's now the stakes that you put behind what you do, like actually having skin in the game. Like we're seeing the re-emergence of skin in the game as the credential that actually gives you credibility. And so this is a game we can play.
If you got money, it better be where your mouth is.
Right. Otherwise, your money doesn't buy you influence. People are actually learning to prioritize the evolutionary trajectory of an effort over the current capitalization, perhaps to some extent. That's kind of what I view it as. It's a learning to judge again what actually has the highest signaling content for future success, which is decidability, capacity in decidability, in the discipline of decidability. And Musk is the foremost kind of exemplar of that. Like he has this radical ground reality, ground truth seeking habit or process, and people are emulating that across the market, and I think also in politics. So I think in that environment, our advantage becomes the capacity to judge and to essentially challenge people on that front. It's to say, you're not actually pricing in all of this that we are able to price in because we have the science of decidability on our side. We have the capacity to do our due diligence in all these ways that you can't because you don't know how reality works.
We're the only people that can convince women like that they're a lot richer now than they were before, while taking all their liquidity and like market maneuverability from them. That's just a maneuver we should be able to pull off. And pushing people back into pro-social bonds is good for everybody. Doesn't hurt anyone. It's impossible to hurt them that way.
How would I discuss? Okay, I can't find the commonality between the things you guys keep talking about to reduce it to something that is message that's actionable. And I'm just not there, it's okay.
I'm still trying to find out what message we're trying to push out to people and where, because I am under the impression that all people need different messaging, and like all you need to do is work on those books and finish them, and Moritz and I will keep influencing influencers and networking. Like,
all right.
So
right.
where are we trying to put text down that's forward facing, where we have an audience that you want to pitch something to?
The original context for this was the staff call. So what again, Curt, can you remind us of the context in which it came up?
I'm trying to say that the front of the website is sending the website's sending the wrong message, right? And I want to make sure, I would like that to be a message that we're unified on. I don't think it's important to talk about the logic and science of universal decidability. I don't think it's important. I don't think it's important to focus on revolution and civil war. I think it's important to focus on the things that on
the reforms,
telling that the Trump basics agenda is correct, adding to it if we can, and then saying how to make it permanent, which is our goal. And so I'm just trying to find some way for us to fit in, because we don't need to be oppositional anymore, right? As much as we need to be amplificationary, right? And so I'm just trying to say, how do we shift?
This looks like you can just strip this page down to like what we offer, what do we offer here, the bottom, and then enumerate these things.
And what our goal is, which is reformation.
Yeah.
Now that I'm looking at it, if that's the operational concern here.
I mean, I think there's the positioning statement was my concern for the reason I wanted to have a meeting with you guys. Right? That's what I was trying to do. I want to get, how should we think about the way to talk about our organization or our positioning in relation to where the world is going, right? Because our world has changed. We're not the opposition now. We're on the same team as the administration. So we're not coming from behind anymore. I like coming from behind, but we're not coming from behind in this context anymore. So I want to talk about what that is. I agree with you, Brandon. I don't think that requires we strategically do anything. But if somebody asks us what we're about, I would like to be able to tie it to the current trend rather than
It's me who requires the clarity. That's all I'm working through here. No one's done anything I'm just trying to get on the same page with you for what we're actually doing.
Right. And so
I think it's
how I just explained.
No. It could just, nothing's wrong. There could just be a matter of like a prioritization, and then the category in which we're putting the project under, like we're talking about what the Institute does, the Natural Law Institute. Like our scope can only be so large, right? And we work on the very specific things that we've been working on. Are we pushing some positiva message into the space from some other positioning, or are we opening up a department that I'm unaware we operate currently?
I think we should not push. There is so much momentum and so much resistance coming out.
I agree with the directionality.
I don't want to say, hey, look at us over here. Right? I want to be in line with this messaging, and we can change it next year and the year after, whatever, but we should be in line, because at some point, our legitimacy is slowly increasing, but at some point, somebody's going to look at us and say, oh, I see, right? We want to sound like we're on the team, right? And we're working.
So we want to like highlight the cooperative endeavors we're involved in outwardly. Is that something that's? hey, this is our coalition? Are we coming out as an alliance? That would be my preference, by the way. If we're going to teach the law of cooperation, it's like we agree on these things. We're in alignment to achieve these outcomes across this right spectra of people.
I like the alliance thing, and I like that framework.
Okay.
I think we still have the problem of shifting the position from
Okay.
from a rather hostile civil war or a hostile proposal for reforms to a more one that's more compatible with the existing pathway, because they're going to take the
we want to illuminate the escalation path that we are certainly going to traverse, and it looks like forgiveness first now is what you're saying.
Right.
All
right, and so we want to get on the path, because what they're basically going after low-hanging fruit, the economy and immigration. That's great, right? But that's not structural. That's not going to change. That's not going to be a structural thing. It's basically the same criticism I have of Project 2025. It's great. You're talking about changing the bureaucracy, but there's nothing permanent about changing that bureaucracy. You can go back because there's no law.
Mm-hmm.
You need law to produce those limits, and you need people to have standing to sue the state when.
So we have to
explain that.
We have to produce that standing. That's first and foremost, which is what we do all the time when we pursue some sort of lawfare. I mean, I'm under the impression that people have standing in the grievances that they have against the governance currently, regardless of producing it in paperwork, but we can make it part of the due diligence procedure for people to produce standing in particular suits.
So then that's interesting too. Then we could shift to prioritizing the legal side of things front and center, saying this is the thing that makes the difference now while this headwind is in effect, and we have to press on the gas pedal, and the way to do that is to go after the actual foundations that created these problems.
And that is the first grievances, which brings us to all the things we're trying to rework currently.
Yep.
Right.
Which we see as impediments on the affordances for self-determination, like as a structural problem.
Okay, that's very close to what I'm looking for.
Okay.
All right, I'm looking for a way for us to be aligned. The other thing is what did you say, Brandon, about being aligned with other people?
Alliance.
Yeah, creating an alliance, a coalition, a federation. I don't care what people call it. Some way to hold people accountable for staying parallel with one another, right? For not crashing into each other.
So we essentially have to produce now the minimum cooperation framework that people and groups that are aligned with us and with this future vision can operate by. Like, it's essentially, we have to produce the minimum viable cooperation framework, essentially a kind of private body of law, if you will, or constitution amongst us and our alliance members. Like, for example, if let's say an organization that we would have in this alliance starts to say something or act in a way that actually subverts the things that we are after implementing, like what consequences does that produce? What mechanism do we have to offer them a way to redress, to return to the fold? Like that's what I'm saying. Like essentially starting to operationalize what we talk about in the abstract and law into actual mechanisms that we are demonstrating the utility of in our own cooperative context, and thereby driving the habit into the population through our alliance. which then can also start to.
What just happened? Did someone just leave? No.
No, something just shifted. I don't know why.
Okay. All right, so yeah, I got you.
And then actually this alliance becomes an ever expanding and ever strengthening core that
I
can.
get this. Yeah, but you got to have an incentive to do it. And
No, I understand. That's why I'm getting to is to actually do those lawsuits, like
yes.
produce those at scale, produce them with rock solidity behind it and support.
Okay.
And that then becomes the context in which we can speak to these political entrepreneurs.
So we need to talk about mission.
By the way, I still think there's like a 5 to 10% chance that we do still go down the Civil War route.
Yeah, I don't want to delete any or lose any content. This is
Yeah,
just
no, for sure.
how do you present it? Because when we're saying you pay attention to us because the Civil War is going to happen, we want to prevent it. Well, that's going to be hard to play when all the shit's going on. That's already solving some of the problems. So we don't want to be counter to the main. We want to go with the flow, so to speak. So I'm like, okay, so what's our message now? And our message is they're going to relieve the pressure. Now we got to solve it permanently, and you solve it permanently through legal reforms. And these are the ones now. And then if you want to solve the economy, so I think that's like they're trying to remove the corruption and waste, right? That's the house cleaning, but now you have to have the re-engineering, and I don't think they know how to do the re-engineering. They're doing the house cleaning, and we're doing the engineering.
Message is you can't just fix bugs without fixing the design itself, because if you don't fix the design, then the structural problems in the design, the bugs will just resurface.
I think this administration would and probably could go that far. That civil war may still be coming just later.
Say that again?
I expect that civil war may still be coming just later.
Yes, though the times civil wars have been averted have been because the restructuring, like the Roman reforms, were enough to prevent it. So it's not the things that happened in the ancient world, which is the debt forgiveness. That was a huge deal. Who brought up this morning that the relationship between Christianity and debt?
I did.
Well, you did. You brought that
Yeah.
up. Debt forgiveness. So there are cleaning the bureaucracy is a more aggressive version than Project 2025, but it's not doing what we're doing, which is solving the fucking problem, right? Which is we're going to re-engineer it so that people have a means of defending against it in the future. And I just think that's the way we go with the flow. And if not, then our plan, here's how you conduct a course and conduct of a civil war.
Well,
I think Brand is right. We do the same thing. We just position it.
Right.
We just position it differently.
We can even borrow General Flint's framing, right? He talked about this election as establishing a beachhead, and then the war is actually just starting. And we could say that was what we are selling, we're going to prevent future wars from happening, like what the Allies did after World War II.
Poorly.
I know Martin's Martin's gonna take beef with that.
Let me reframe it. When we will actually see when the war is starting, and we will fight it instead of let ourselves be conquered like we did this time.
You had nothing left, dude. There was nothing left over there. Okay. Getting there now. So the messaging I'm sort of feeling good about. I like the two market strategies I heard. Give me a second. Market strategies. I'm taking notes, obviously.
We're also the most fit bunch to steward the dissolution of three-letter agencies and institutions like the Department of Education.
Well, the problem is you can fix the Department of Ed, but if you don't fix the universities, that doesn't matter.
I don't think we should work on fixing either of them. I think we should just strip them of everything they have and give all their money back to people and let them figure it out on their own. What they'll figure out is they'll find us.
Yeah. Say that again. I don't think I got that.
Well, right now, public education is just like aid for having children. It's like, all right, well, we're not giving you that anymore. There's not this institution. You don't get this money. You get to keep your tax dollars instead. Figure out what to do with your own kids. They're your kids. Force the responsibility and the accountability back to the node that produced the externality, and then let people bear their own costs on the way out.
I agree with you with that being the strategic goal. I do caution making changes too quickly. People don't bear well with rapid changes.
We saw the worst of what could possibly happen under COVID, and our changes are pro-social.
Oh, I see.
People who are going to burn things down should be brutally prosecuted in the streets.
Just let students default on that.
Yeah. Well, let's just rob them of everything they have. They're not worthwhile institutions to keep afloat. It's not like those people aren't destitute.
I think
Tenured professors.
What Francis is saying, though, is that there's value in political stability of some sort, or social stability in some sort, I think. So the question is this the disruption of stability that will come from that, which is a good, like the thing that it does is good, but is the stability that we lose from that, will that introduce other externalities?
It's a difference.
Is there a way to keep it stable anyway?
It's a difference between rapid, abrupt transition versus a gradual transition. And the gradual transition can still be very quickly on the time horizon. We're talking like a couple of years, even within 4 years. I'm not talking about a decade or something, but not so rapid as to, hey, today we're going to just cancel out Department of Education, stop all federal funding whatsoever. You guys, states, go figure out.
You know that I'm speaking hyperbolically in that we have a 3-month window to inauguration. We have a 6-month window to the first Pride month, 9-month window to first Pride month. We have a 2-year window to the first political foray again, and we have a 4-year window to complete everything we want to complete so that the power distance decreases so much that everyone hates the idea of a presidency. And if we're not aiming at that trajectory, like we're not going fast enough for the people that we are with the technologies that we've got. The problems are already here. What they do to the children in the public schools is abuse them. Trump just announced he's going to wipe out and retroactively afford people to pursue people who have harmed children. Both the doctors, both the doctors and the institutions. Said it out loud, facing a camera very, very clearly.
Man, that's awesome. Suing your university for shit education?
And suing people for grooming children, etc. and so on. He said it straightforwardly. All this is child abuse. We're rolling all this back.
And we can create cooperation between the people who are doing the takedowns and the people who are creating the alternatives. Like have them be duos, have them do tandems, essentially.
This is gas pedal time.
I think there's a difference.
Chaos can be useful if you can make use of them.
There's a difference between swift justice and throwing out the baby with the bathwater.
Sure.
And where we provide, and where we as an institute provide the linchpin, the value in the linchpin is in that decidability.
Correct. We want to be delivered the conflicts on the ground, right? Make the chaos happen and then be the escalation point. When anyone goes, hey, we have a problem on the ground, we should be the top of the hierarchy to solve the problem.
So we
So-
equip. Go ahead, Francis.
So what do we need to prepare to get into that position? Well, not only be in that position, but also what do we need to prepare staff-wise, resource-wise, people-wise, any number of things. Like, again, I'm looking at this from an operations perspective, right? Do we?
I think we're just beginning to coalesce on what we agree on. I'm trying to keep track of it here. I think I've got most of it
Where is here, by the way?
on a notepad in front of me here.
Okay.
Right. Which I can send out for review after.
Put it in the staff meeting notes.
Okay. Now?
If you can, just copy and paste. I already created a section for this meeting.
Might have to give me a link.
Hang on. Just coming.
And I got strategic plan, activism strategy, office hours, staff meeting notes. I got staff meeting
Yeah.
notes.
Just or check the Zoom chat. I just posted in there.
Yeah, so it starts with resources. List of grievances, positioning deck. Okay, got it. Yes. Give me a second here. So many things, not enough screens. I think you gotta move your cursor.
Wait, what?
You gotta move your cursor.
I gotta move my cursor.
Thank you. The fuck?
It won't let you paste or something?
Give me a second. Well, if you're sharing the same line, it won't let you paste.
I'm
Create a new line.
That's weird.
Still won't let me paste.
I-
Edit,
not on that line anymore.
edit, paste. There we go. I don't know why I got all these dots. How do I make them go away? So this is, I'm just taking notes. I don't know if you need to understand though. I'm just trying to.
Just continue taking them as you do, yeah.
Taking notes, all right?
We'll make them legible later.
No, I want to get back. I lost my train of thought.
You're saying that we were just coalescing on what we agree on.
Right, and I'm not sure I'm not sure we're there yet. I don't want to get to action items until I feel like we're further. So in the current messaging, borrow Flynn's framing, we need to make it permanent, fix the foundation that created the grievances, blah, blah, blah. That is sort of like, that's what I feel like it should be our go with the flow messaging. And then we want to say, push the Civil War messaging to the to prevent it. All right, that's great. And then the second, so this would be like that would mean like turning the what do you call it, the Declaration Constitution more as a proposal rather than litigation. That's just minor framing, right? Right. No, because we're setting it up to have to go around a hostile state. But in the meantime, we want to have it so that we can produce these things more like Project 2025 does, which is a set of reforms that perform the fundamental change. Anyway, not that we can probably enact it without something serious. All right. Wait a minute. Get a treaty. Give me a second. So a treaty, what is the relation? Sorry, I gotta look up a legal bit. What is the priority of legality between a treaty, an act of legislation, and I think I just figured out a new tactic. Yes, I have. Very nice. Well, I think I broke it by asking that question. Yeah. Treaties are typically on par with or slightly subordinate to the Constitution. So it's the same thing. Okay, that's even better. Redo it as reframe as do. I'm sorry if I'm talking past you guys, but that's a strategic reframing.
I'm not sure where are you like taking notes and stuff, because I don't see it in here.
Just give me 1 second. Okay, so this is just from okay, I don't want to go into that. It's a side up, but it gives me another frame to build the second declaration content under. Thank you. It basically means that treaties are basically can be on par with the Constitution. So, for example, at the end of the Civil War, we didn't get a treaty, right? And so I'm just trying to think of we have the common law method, the amendment method, the common law method, the revolutionary method, and the treaty method. All right. I've probably been too much distracting for you, but I was trying to see if there was a hole there. All right, so where were we? I don't know. I think that is enough of a reframing for what I was hoping to get out of this. I think this is an addition to the framing. I think these are markets we can produce. I like this. Now, what I would like to talk about is any activism. So basically, what I heard was lawfare is good, right? Right, and that's how we get good, how we build legitimacy. Right? What about trying to work with new with the new reforms? I don't know how to get, it's hard to
How
get in.
define work with the new reforms?
So all these people are going to go in and they're going to try to work in these areas.
Mhm.
And it just seems like if somebody's going into some area, we could say, well, this is our, now that you're getting started on this, this is our proposal for you. This is the way we're looking at the problem in case there's any value to be provided. This is what every grouping in the world does, right? You go in and you do this. And I'm just wondering if that's something we can do. It seems like something we could do.
It's something that we ought to be doing, because otherwise our policies are just on paper. They're never going to be, they're never going to make reality.
So I know who to sick on that, actually, if we can get that person involved. Why did he stop calling me? Why did Dave stop calling me? I think I know. All right, I know how to get that access, so
Time to bring him in.
huh?
It's time to bring him in. You already had kind of signaled it before that he was ready for it as well.
I gotta talk to him first.
Yeah, no, but you had mentioned that he had said that, if I'm connecting the right person, but there was somebody who had wanted to get involved.
You got the right, you're thinking about the right guy. You
Okay.
can definitely do it.
I think what I'm recalling is in the context of actually raising funds and kind of professionalization and all that stuff. Yeah. Okay. So then that is the fundraising context as well. It's like the reason we're asking people to put capital behind us is so that we don't let this chance slip by.
Man, it's gonna be chaos out there. It's gonna be
Yeah, so what kind?
the whole fucking government. Everything's, I mean, the whole government is basically sitting in diapers, afraid they're gonna shit their pants, right? I mean, because you're
Right.
talking about, you're talking about 20,000 people coming in, taking over every fucking department, right? And going through the fucking scythe and looking at every single penny spent, right? It's going to be fucking chaos, right? There's going to be lawsuits and countersuits and whatever, and but it's hard to do. How does a government agency defend itself when the fucking Justice Department alone is being ass raped with a ground glass dildo? So I just don't think this is going to go very well. So, and you can imagine.
We don't want it to.
No, I mean, look, we did in 1 year. We made a lot of progress in 1 year, right? And so, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if somebody said, "Hey, these guys got this stuff," right? We can't use their names, but we're gonna just rebrand it as Trumpism and process all their stuff. I'd be fucking happy. I don't give a shit, right? I mean, if it just got done. But
It would come
so
out
it's not
eventually.
about it's not, I don't care about fame and fortune, all the other shit. What I care about is getting done. So when we look at this, it's like, okay, it's not just about us. It's about, can we get this stuff done, right? And
Yes.
so I'm sitting here trying, okay, great. So in this fucking chaos, do you know what the social media is going to look like? It's going to look like a fucking volcano of shitstorms. So and everybody's going to be on trying to fight it, and Twitter's going to be one of the places it's going to be on space everywhere. And so I'm sure Elon's going to drive it to Twitter. That's what I would do. So he's going to drive it to Twitter. So they have all this shit going on in the world, And so for us trying to get messaging out there, we're in a world where advertising and marketing may not work. We may be limited to sales. In other words, directly contacting people.
Yeah. And influencing the influencers. I mean, we're not, we don't want to talk to the public. We want to talk to the people who matter.
All right.
The influencers that we have, go ahead.
I think the Collinses to me is an example. Like they're not particularly. I don't know that they are extremely politically capitalized in that sense. In their last podcast just now, they mentioned that they have an in with the administration, and so that they're working on that. But like these are kind of examples of people who are at the intersection of politics and tech and kind of being smart, capable people. Where if we work with these kinds of people who are now actually have a shot at getting heard by the administration, we not only have we don't have just the one shot of getting us into the door into a particular area, but we get our ideas through them into the door from many different angles, and essentially drive that demand through, not from the populace, but from the people who are now who are themselves have an ambition to actually get in there.
Yeah.
I think if I were to reframe that, Moritz, your point is we as an institute do not necessarily need to establish our own mouthpiece or establish our own mass market channel. We can leverage the mass market channels out there that already exist, whether it's LISEC or what they call it, Rudyard or Malcolm and whatever her name was, and whole math and so on, right? So all of these are new media, the new mass marketing channels.
Yep. And
then we through them we get the message to the administration. My only question in that is how much of those people actually have channels into the administration? Like, shall we establish some other channels through more traditional means, like face-to-face type of stuff? Because there's
go ahead.
Because there's the social influencers, and this is what I don't know is how much those social influencers have. How much influence do they have in the people who actually makes policies?
They don't have any. What they have is the ability to influence the people such that the people make policy have an easier job.
Yeah, I'm not talking about like Homa in that sense. I'm talking about the people who have a demonstrated history of competence and who would go into politics if they wanted to. Like the Collinses are an example of this. They have worked in consulting, they've worked like the world over, they have been in touch with government, they've done all this kind of like large scale responsibility stuff. And they do now see an avenue to get into the administration on some avenue. So I'm talking more about that kind of person, and then also our explicitly political people. Like I think we should just go to the people that we already have in the political arena and ask, like, how do you get access to administration? Like, and then, or what's preventing you from doing so? And then essentially work with them to either help them get in there and through that us, or identify the obstacles for that and then remove them. Like we have Matt in New Hampshire. We have who else do we have? We have Mark in the military. I mean, he's not a politician, but he also, I assume, has some kind of means of communication with people in that arena. So there are people that we have already in that sense. And then I would just ask David, I guess, if Curt has a conversation with him and we get a positive response.
He has access. I'm just wondering why he stopped calling me. But
Who's Dave?
he was having personal problems. So I was helping him work through personal problems. So he was calling me like almost every day, right? Every other day. And that stopped. And what that means is either he got more business and he's better, or my dropping off of Rudyard's little talk group there really bothered him. I don't think so, because I know he felt the same way I did about it. I'll just talk to him. I'll find out. He's just busy. You know, you call up your friends when you're really stressed, right? Right. The other thing might be that he was trying to work to get us to work on our conferences, and he may have thought that I was saying no versus we're not ready. I mean, I don't know.
Tell Francis briefly what context David is from or who he is.
David has a business. He's ex-Anderson, you know. So he has a business where he puts on conferences for political groups, and he makes money at it, and he makes money for them. And he's been quite successful at it. He would like to work with us. I said we're not ready.
When was that?
This summer, July or August. So we're not ready, in other words, for the fall conference. But I'd like to do that. So I'll just get in touch with him and see how he's doing, and see what his thoughts are, and see if he's got time. Because it's probably time to have that conversation with him.
Yep. So have we recorded in the document what this shift in positioning looks like and what we need to do to effectively project that on the website?
Or can you share the screen share the document?
Oh, sorry. Can I? Here, where are we? Where's share?
See that smirk, Brandon?
Sure. Brandon,
Was hiding a very hearty laugh.
Curt can't compute a comeback.
All right, so can you see the screen, short markets? So I feel pretty good about these notes are sufficient for me to know what to do.
Great.
I don't know if they're sufficient for anyone else.
No, that's good.
What I'm worried about is this. Can you see that?
Yes.
This is what I'm working on right now. I feel like this is no longer something we want to have in the main headline. I know we want to promote this. We want to promote this. We want to promote this. I'm not saying this is how they look. These are just my.
Yep.
Right. We want to promote our. I made the changes you asked.
Thank you.
I want to promote our videos. I think this would change now. And I think this needs a review, right? Right, and so I think that our positioning on this page needs to change. I would like to go to fill in some of these holes, which are mostly here. And I would like to do it in the present context. And that's mostly it. So that I'll make sure that we are presenting ourselves, because we're kind of grown-ups now, so.
Yep.
I thought that would get a reaction out of you, Brandon.
I don't know what you're talking about. I've always been a grown-up.
Well, all our illusions always get us. So we're kind of.
So that's one action item on capture, which is for you to update the .com website to reflect the new framing as stated above. Question for you is that, is this something that only Curt, only you will do, or do you need help from staff?
I would love to do it with this group, but sometimes, okay, but let me say just directly, when I work with any one of you, I can get that person's full attention. The larger the group it is, the harder it is for me to get the full attention of anybody. All of us, not all of us, but some of us are a little more attention deficit oriented, Brandon, than others. And so if I want to get something done, I have to be in a
Shots fired.
where I can monopolize the person's attention long enough to get the brain cells out of it. Brandon has a very good talent for making things simple and effective. And so I'd like to do that. That would be something I want to get done.
Yeah.
But now I understand. I wanted to be sure I understood what we were going to do. The second thing is, I think we should work on the second declaration site and give that a going through. I think that's important. And third thing I think we should do is, because that's a thing you can sign to get the signatures. You might say, "Here, we don't really need that. We just need a list of our initiatives for people," and that's really what we ought to be directing people to sign, right? I will sign as sponsors for these.
I think the grievances gives legitimacy to the initiatives. The second declaration, a large part of it is about the grievances. Like, how can you get people to agree with your policies if you don't point out what's wrong? Especially given the type of policies that we are proposing, which goes farther than what anyone, I guarantee you, in the new administration even thinking about. They're thinking about, hey, we're just going to fix these bugs. We're talking about we need to do a redesign.
Okay, so
just put it's there. So right underneath your cursor, there's an action item section. Just put it in there.
Okay, let me finish thinking this through first. Maybe what'd you call them? Grievances?
Yeah.
First grievances.
And solutions instead of entire set of reforms. Is there constitutional?
Well, I think part of the solutions include constitutional reforms.
Right. I mean, the point is that where is it?
This part what we talked about with like making the front-facing part of the website more legible, more approachable, and then leaving the breadcrumbs for the other people, for people to go further.
Grievances are already in there, so I guarantee that it's not everything that needs to be there yet.
Well, then we should do the grievances. I mean, this is why I always want to work on this with you, because you go right into the nit. Whereas the declaration is here.
Where Jefferson had a bunch of grievances toward King George, there's like 100 pages of grievances against this regime.
Well, the Declaration of Independence doesn't have that many. I basically started with the Declaration to do this, basically a repetition of it. But we should go over it. Yeah, let's do that. But I mean, that's you and me just sitting down and, I mean, really, we need quite the problem. That's another example. I would need, Martin, your full attention, but I'd like to have other people around to be able to pull in and ask in that conversation. All right.
We can do that. Let's set up like a, I don't know, 1.5 hour, 2 hour long like block where it's just kind of co-working with you guys doing your thing and us doing our thing, and then you can pull in people if you need to, but it's understood that you guys are doing work.
Yes, what you need. Generally, just wait if you have any questions and sometimes check up on what you're doing, but I'm not following every word you write, obviously. And if I need to do that, well, okay.
And out of that list of grievances, like complete the second declaration, like the whole list of grievances, and then we can distill that down to a key set of key talking points that we can turn into shorts to get it out there. And also push us through the channels that we have. You know, get Roger to talk about it, right?
The problem with Rudyard is that he's
I'm saying, like, I'm using him as an example. He's
Yeah,
one of such channels.
we can get people to talk about it.
Because a list of grievances will go into essentially why things, well, this may be wrong, why things are the way they are, why things are wrong at the fundamentals level.
Mhm.
Which then lead way to the set of reforms
Right.
that we propose.
So can you move these down there whenever you're?
I already did. I just captured it in more succinct form. I mean, the first one here is your number one. This number two. I wouldn't say remove the list of constitutional reforms, but just make it so that people can quickly navigate and get the gist of grievances. The constitutional reform should still be there. Well, actually, maybe second declaration. No, that wouldn't make sense because the declaration came first, and then the constitution didn't come until much later.
Well, I know what you mean, so we'll handle that. All right, now what about the there's the org site.
I think the org site can just contain the top, like this list of key talking points.
Yeah. Do we have a designer in our world somewhere?
What?
Do we have a graphic design? Do we have a website designer in our world somewhere?
Well, I mean, we have gosh, we have Shade. He's a graphics designer / video producer. I mean, he produced the PDFs. I don't know if anyone in our circle is a professional like website designer or anything.
I have several I can draw on probably if
there we
need be.
go.
We need somebody to give that site a once over.
All right. So that would be something where I bring them in and you talk to them and tell them what you want, right?
Right. Not really. I don't think it's hard. I think that that anybody who wants to do that, well, it's okay. Yeah, sure. I'll bring it in. But I think it's more of you got to have quite a few of us there. Certainly Brandon.
And specifically, we're talking about the .org site, or both the .com and .org.
The org site looks beautiful to me. I mean, I'm not sure what would need to be done there, but I think, Curt, did you mean the .com site?
Yeah, that's my question to Curt. Which website do you mean?
What do you sorry, what do you ask?
So which website needs more web designer loving?
Oh, it's the org site. I just want to have somebody go through there and take a look at it. I think it's probably just the home page that I want to have somebody look at. The rest of it's probably fine.
Just so I understand, what do you see something that's a problem with it, or do you have an ambition that's not currently realized in it?
I think it needs to be more.
Whatever you said last did not come through.
Not hearing you.
Good. I might just be running on old recollections. I am running on old recollections. I think the only thing I would say is we want to take the text wall here and turn that into more. Want somebody look at the text wall?
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, that's probably something that Bryan and I can just do
Great.
ourselves. I don't think we need somebody for that.
All right. Text wall, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, because otherwise it looks great to me, actually.
Do you guys have time tomorrow to do work?
I have bread in the morning like always, and I have to do it.
No
So
problem.
I'm busy from
Cool.
7 to 10 my time.
Okay. I'll be probably available sometime after that, if work needs to be done together, because I think there was still, I still want to do the med law thing. I'll probably also organize without you around that, but I would like your view on that at least at some point. And then was there anything else that was on the agenda?
How do I stop this?
The audit itself, yeah. That's but you already said that you would do it with Martin, so that's good.
Wait a minute, I don't want to agree to something I don't understand.
No, you're not agreeing to anything. I'm just saying, from the agenda that I had in my mind for this conversation, or of things to possibly talk about, the second declaration audit is taken care of because that's something you're doing with Martin, if I understood correctly.
Oh, we just did some of it, the rest of it's going over with Martin, yes.
Right, and so that's what we're scheduling the meeting for. Sorry,
So
Martin,
we
go
had
ahead.
the positioning, and now we've got it, so we need to do we do need to do the med law thing. 'Cause
That's right.
Right.
That's right. I don't have time for that right now because I have a work meeting to jump to.
So
But
what happens when you're so important?
it's becoming, I mean, that's what I'm currently working to make possible, that I have total time freedom so that I can switch between all these things so fluidly as I already do. But I'm essentially working to
Right.
replace my full-time income from daylight. So, all right. Well,
All right. So
let's.
time I can take you out to lunch any day soon? Any day?
Wait, what?
Today, you busy for lunch today?
Wait, are you asking me or asking Brett?
I'm asking you.
Oh,
Right.
me.
A bit more difficult.
I am busy.
All right,
today.
that's all right. I'm just asking. All right.
He said he wants to take you out for lunch sometime, so
Oh,
take note of that.
All right, love you
Understood.
guys. Thank you very much for the session.
all right.
All right. See ya.
Ciao.